My first instrument was a piano, and I always played at home. And when I was about 3, I saw a piano for the first time, and it became my toy. I never played Barbie dolls and sports. I always played music, and that's what's been important to me, is the idea of play and music as opposed to work and lessons and music. I never did that part. But the piano was secret. I played my piano at home, and sometimes I'd sneak into a church and play their piano or their organ if I could. That was a secret. But for the most part, I didn't play with other people at a piano because I was too shy. But when I was about 15, somebody had a ukulele. And I said, oh, this is fun. When I was 16, I got a guitar. So all of a sudden, my music became portable. I could hug it. I could take it into the privacy of my room, or I could take it with me. I used to live by the woods, and I'd go and play my songs and just write privately again. So it made a difference. All of a sudden, I wasn't stuck here. All of a sudden, I was like this, and it made a difference. And my shyness melted a little bit with the guitar because I could sing around a campfire. And where I was living in Maine, that's what I like to do. I love to be, you know, I was kind of a campfire singer and made up my songs like that. So it was very important. The other instrument that I play, besides the computer, which has made the hugest difference for me, is a mouth bow. I play a thing that looks like a hunting bow, and it has a string here, and then the curve of the bow is here. And you put it up to your mouth, and you're playing on harmonics, and it's almost like the Mongolian and Tuvan singers. It's all harmonics. It's almost like imaginary music. And it's real hard to describe, but it's because I have played the mouth bow, and it's so original and unique. It's not only appealed to me, but it's given me a lot of courage in understanding, accepting, and rejoicing in the fact that people can make music on anything, including me. And when I work with kids, you know, kids will make music on pots and pans or whatever they have, and I've always been like that too. I've always tuned my guitar all kinds of funny ways. Sometimes I'll go in and I'll tune my piano all kinds of funny ways, just to see what I get, because like I say, it's play. The computer has made a world of difference for me, and I started using electronic music in the 60s. And I came out with an album called Illuminations, which, you know, my music fans just thought was terrible, you know, because they wanted to think of me as a barefoot Indian, you know, playing a guitar. And electronic music is, it was not yet popular. So I was using Moog synthesizers and early electronic matrix, you know, thingies. And the only place I could take this music after recording Illuminations in about 1964, the only place I could take my experimenting with music was into film scoring. So that got me into film scoring. And because of that, because I had that early introduction, when the early music computers like a Synclavier and a Fairlight, when they first came out, and I had the money to buy them, it put me way ahead for computers. And then a Macintosh entered my life, you know, in 1980, well, just before they came out in 1984, I got a Macintosh, and all of a sudden I could write my songs and make my paintings and do my business and put a disc in my pocket and continue in Toronto, you know, I'd rent a computer there, continue in Vancouver. So again, my music became portable. And it's allowed me, it allowed me very early in the game, you know, just before anybody was using computers in the pop world. I mean, people just thought I was crazy. Hey, you play a computer, you know, that's for accountants. And it allowed me to be my own producer and to be my own director and direction. You know, it's almost like making movies. So computers aren't hard. People wanted to make, in the beginning, people wanted you to think they're hard so that they would have a job making you feel stupid and themselves feel smart, you know, and there's cash involved. But no, and computers are not inhuman in any way. I can still play my guitar or my piano or anything, or my human voice right into my computer. Instead of using a tape recorder, I use my computer. No, I don't think it's overwhelming. I think it's just additional options. And it enables a person who plays a piano or or a wind instrument or a stringed instrument, to have access to the other instruments that human beings have, including exotic ones from other countries, and of course orchestral instruments. And music wasn't invented by dead Germans, as we say, but music comes. Every culture has music. People don't even know what music is. We don't know why all cultures sing to their babies. We don't know why birds sing. It has something to do with a very deep kind of communication. And music doesn't have to involve words, but it may. So, we really don't know the power of music, and I think it has to do with, I think it taps into telepathic things that we don't use very much. We do with people we love. We do when we look into our baby's eyes, there's a nonverbal communication. Or when we're with animals, like I raise goats, and I have many, many ways of saying meh. And so music, communication, speech are all involved in very deep ways inside our brains and our hearts and our intentions, so who knows where it'll go. I was playing with musical instruments so early, I don't remember where they came from. All of a sudden there was an old beat-up piano in my house, and I was really little. I think I was about 3. I'm told I was about 3. And I sat down and I noticed that I used the word rhyme. I used to say, well, this note rhymes with that note. And I was talking about a C in this octave, and a C at this octave, and a C at this octave. But, as musicians know, but maybe the public doesn't, the tempered scale is not a perfect natural scale, but it sounds like it is. And Western ears like this C to sound exactly like that C, and this C to sound exactly like that C, but the natural scale is different. So when I first started singing, I was singing more in a natural scale than in a piano scale. We didn't have money to tune a piano in the first place, and I didn't know that you had to make them be, bang like they are in Europe. I thought that you had a lot more variety. Also, I love Aboriginal singing and indigenous singing all over the world, and the music of India, and people sing, ah! We sing quarter tones as human beings. We don't just sing these 12 notes that are part of the symphonic, Western scale. So I had to learn how to limit myself to do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And I very often would sound like I was out of tune because I was making choices that were not using the same scale. So it's almost as though I was more of a kid at a beach making sandcastles than an architect trying to make 90-degree angles. There's nothing wrong with either way, but when I got into professional music, I started hating my singing, and I started trying very hard to be in tune and on time. I think the role of music education for a young musician depends on the student. There are some people who don't make music naturally, and I think they can greatly benefit by school music education, music teacher kinds of things that allow them to make music too, even though they don't do it naturally. Either they haven't been exposed to it as kids, they don't have instruments around, or they don't have music going through their heads all the time like I do. But on the other hand, there's a whole other kind of musician, the kind of musician like I am, the kind of musician like Chet Atkins is, people ask him, does he know how to read music? And he says, not enough to hurt my playing. A lot of us are that way. And that's the kind of music person I am. So if I'm with that kind of student, that's the one I can help. Because I can't help people to learn how to read music and stuff because I'm really not interested in it myself. I approve of it and I think it's wonderful. But what I think is needed in music education, and I guess I'm going to have to do it myself because nobody else is doing it, is I'd like to see a website that teaches young people who are about to enter the world of show business and music, the music business, which is not much about music, it's mostly about business. I want to teach them how not to get screwed. I want them to see what a management contract looks like, to know the difference between a manager and an agent, so that you're not asking people to do things that shouldn't expect them to do. I'd like to see a standard record contract and one that's skewed toward the artist as opposed to skewed toward the record company, because sometimes there's a lot of gray area in between that people don't know about. I'd like to teach people how to go on the road, how to deal with going to another country, what you have to have. You don't want to plug your your instrument into the wrong current and have it blow up on you. But there are a lot of things that I'd like to teach people like that. The other thing that I'd like to teach musicians or offer musicians is I wish in schools there were programs for people who play by ear. Because that class called music that I had to take every year, I mean, by 6th grade, I just dreaded it. I didn't do it. I didn't think it had anything to do with music, those little black notes and things. My ear was so much faster than trying. I'm musically dyslexic anyway. I can write for an orchestra, but I can't read back. And they're starting to study that, because a lot of people are like that. But I'd like to see support for musicians who play naturally and by ear, because it's another whole kind of prodigy. And in music, there's 360 degrees of how to approach it. And they're all different. It's almost like prayer, You can't teach somebody else, but somebody else can reach with their own creativity, reach into their own creativity and reach out through their own creativity. And, we come full circle, nobody knows what music is and where it can go and how important it can be to us, Very, very important, I think, to support people who play naturally and by ear.